Batman 412, Max Allan Collins writing with Dave Cockrum on the art. This is a still an early Robin story, at least it's in the second Chances trade, if nothing else. But this is a story about a villain who's a mime. Uh, what's interesting about it is that at one point someone calls her a Harley Quinn, but obviously this predates the creation of Harley Quinn, the character, so I thought that was a little bit amusing. But essentially, it starts off with all the church bells in Gotham not ringing because Batman's like, wait, why is there no sound? It's dawn.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, I'm gonna say, like, the very first page of this story has the title page, and it's called "The Sound of Silence." So immediately I start thinking of the song, and obviously, in terms of relating that to Batman, there is the Affleck meme of that. So that was already in my head at the start of this issue. I was like, I was already in a amusing mood when I started reading this.
Yeah, I mean, it is honestly a pretty fun issue. That gets slightly dark in one or two moments, but for the most part, it's like, okay, who's done this? There's a lot of talk about how it's almost broad daylight and the bat signal's turned on, so they can barely see it, which that is nice to kind of mention that. But it turns out that this mime is committing these crimes, and when someone like she basically just hates noise. So, for example, when a cab driver starts, beeping his horn at her to get out the street, she pulls out a gun and shoots him. It's actually really kind of dark and like a violent scene in a lot of ways. And then from there, they have to try and track her down. It's like, oh, she actually was a successful mime for a while, but times got rough. I guess people stopped caring about mime shows and things of that nature.
There's a moment in this where Jason, just like mimes, that's the worst. And I don't think I've ever agreed with Jason Todd more.
I think he says mimes, yuck. I think it might have been the speech bubble.
It might well have been. Mimes, yuck. That's the worst thing there is.
The worst. I mean, I don't like mimes either, but the worst. Like, I mean, there's definitely worse.
Not much.
I mean, there's gingers for a start. I mean, that's not.
But what about ginger mimes?
Oh, jeez, that's not. That's like Sharktopus on the Sci-Fi Channel. That you don't go that far. So Bruce he sort of looks into her backstory, gets Vicky Vale's help because she did like an article or something on her. Just establishing again some of that stuff right now. Vicky's like a regular kind of like rotating cast member of these Bat books right now. But she has this backstory of like studying under this this famous circus man, this firework. Her dad was a fireworks. I don't know what the correct term would be. He made fireworks. He had a fireworks company. So she hates noise. She hates fireworks.
He was the so-called firework king, as it says in this.
Did you like the knockoff band Blister Twister?
I mean, definitely not Kiss.
I was thinking it was a play on Twisted Sister.
The name is, but the visuals are clearly Kiss.
Oh, sure. But
and they're doing a metal cover of Sound of Silence.
Yes.
Which I think most recently and most famously, as in terms of metal covers, I mean, Disturbed did a pretty solid cover.
I mean, not when this came out, but yeah.
No, I just mean now.
That was like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah, obviously. I don't mean recently in terms of that. I mean recently in terms of this.
Yes.
But now.
Yeah, but they're hardly a hair metal band. In fact, last time I checked, the singer was completely bald, so definitely not hair metal. But yeah, so basically,
you wear a wig for hair.
She turns off the power, and then starts electrocuting the band members. So it's kind of comical and whatnot. Batman shows up and ultimately defeats her with guitar feedback from the amp, because Robin turns the power back on, and the sound of the feedback, which can be quite potent if you're if you hit it the right way.
Yeah. I've been near my fair share of overloud amps with feedback.
And they defeat her. The crowd's happy because the band starts singing again. That's the end. I mean, that's the whole issue. I had a fun time. I can't deny that. One, the character Will, a one and done, obviously has some qualities of characters from later that that are obviously great. Harley Quinn in particular, but also, we had the Mime and Marionette and Doomsday Clock not that long ago. It was hard not to think of them a little bit as this was happening.
Yeah, there's a moment where when Batman confronts her in the park, where he's like, I've already got your tricks. I've already got that mime gun of yours, so don't try it. and then she electrocutes him with the hand buzzer. But still, like it was hard not to think of my Marionette with the finger guns, for example.
I think what made this work is that it kind of plays into what the Two-Face story did, and that all of her crimes are related to the thing she hates, which is noise. So it's all about silencing noise. But because this is a one and done villain, we've not seen all the ideas explored 100 times already. So it does kind of feel fresh to have this villain with this specific MO. So it was like a creative thing of like, okay, church bells being stolen, honking horns, the cab driver being shot, and then of course like try to like turn off a rock concert because she hates heavy loud music. Like it was just like a fun little. It's definitely a one and done. It's definitely not something that I think should have been mapped out to like a full arc where we get our like tragic backstory. The couple of pages of just explaining her father was a fireworks maker is funny.
Fireworks king.
Yeah, fireworks king. Sorry, like the mattress king or the used car king. That type of king. Like that was amusing. And the art's fine and what it is. I particularly enjoyed Jason's like evil grin as he's about to turn the power back on. It's almost like he's enjoying it a little too much, which maybe is a sign of
things to
come. Yes.
And then he's really into the band when they start playing again. He's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he's quite delighted. But and of course the joke at the end is that the police say to her, "You have the right to remain silent."
That's the perfect place to end the issue. I have to give him that.
Which not only does it tie into, of course, her whole thing, but the song the band is singing is also the sound of silence. So there's like an extra layer of comedy in there just for shits and giggles. Yeah, it's fun. It's nothing special, I don't think, but as far as like a sort of goofier, sort of old school style of Batman comic, decent time.
Yeah, I have very little to actually complain about with it. It's solid. Definitely recommend this one to people. Whereas
what are you rating it?
It's a 7.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It's a fun 7 out of 10. Cool.